Viewfinder. Focus unlocked. Image.
Good morning, everyone. So this video is going to be on college accessibility. And the reason for this is because I was thinking about all the accommodations that I use, and people keep asking me all these questions, and I was like, well, I'll just make a YouTube video. So once again, I apologize. This camera, it's on the back facing, and I don't know if I'm supposed to put it in landscape or portrait mode, but right now it's in portrait. And YouTube's always like, your video was in the wrong mode or something like that. So I just want to apologize for that, you sighted people that are watching. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of my technology that I use as a blind person, and talk about some of the accommodations for academic-wise, possibly fitness-wise. It just kind of depends on what I'm feeling. So this right here, let me put the camera down here. So this right here is a Braille Note Touch. It's made by Humanware. Shout out to Humanware, go you. So this is what I use to take notes in class, and to I can read books on there. I don't use the Wi-Fi setting just because the USI Wi-Fi is not great, and for some reason it doesn't want to connect with my Braille Note Touch. I think that's probably a problem, but I'm not too worried about it because I have my laptop. So with this, I can take notes. Here is this right here is a refreshable Braille display, this part. So basically it's like this sighted person's screen, except it's in Braille, and it's for blind people, obviously. So whatever I type on this part right here, the Braille keyboard, comes out down here, and that's how you make words, letters, and Braille is complicated to explain, but it's not complicated once you actually get into it. So I might make another video about that eventually. So I'm turning it on, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to press a button, and these dots are going to move. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but basically I was just pressing the space bar, and it moved from lock to unlock, to bottom to top, to lock, unlock. So I'm going to unlock it. It's just like a phone, you have to unlock it and stuff. Now it says device unlocked. Sorry, the camera's going a little crazy here. There we go, okay. So it's going from lock to unlock, now it's unlocked, and now it says main menu, all apps. So that basically means that I have access to everything on this display. Sometimes, if you don't have it on all apps, it'll just go to a certain view, like word processor, and the basics. And if you have all files, all apps, it'll say keyword, key, BRF, key files, key calc. Basically, Keysoft is the application that it runs on, like you have Windows for computers, iOS for Apple products, and Keysoft for Braille notes. So this, basically, I can take notes on this, so I type whatever I want, and I can save them. I can save my documents as either BRF, which is a Braille ready file. So basically, that would be for if I wanted to share it with a blind person that had one of these devices or another device, or if I had a converter, which I don't know if they make those, but if I had a converter for a computer that would turn BRF into print. It could also be embossed, which I don't have an embosser here because those are expensive and heavy, and there's no room in this room for an embosser. So I don't normally use BRF unless I have to, but then there's also DOCX, and so that's like a regular word processing document. So basically whatever I type in Braille will show up in Word, like in a DOCX, and then I can either save it on my flash drive or SD card or email it to myself, which I can't figure out how to do on this, and connect it to my computer, the flash drive, and then it'll read like a regular document. So then there's also this screen underneath here that I want to show you, under this keyboard. So I'm lifting the Braille keyboard. Oh, scared me, it vibrated. There's a screen, and so basically whatever I type would come up on this screen, or you can also do it in touch Braille. So basically, instead of actually using the keyboard, you can put your fingers on the screen and just use it that way. You can type, or you can also make it like a regular tablet with voiceover, which would be just swipe and tap, which this does not have voiceover. It's I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's like Keysoft Speech or something. So you use speech for that, and it's really cool. This is about, I don't even want to guess how much this cost. It was pretty expensive. So all this technology I did not purchase my own self. an organization called Voc Rehab. They're with each state in America. They basically support college students with disabilities, mostly physical. They can do cognitive. It just kind of depends on the disability. And basically the deal is that if you go to college, get a degree, they give you all this equipment, and excuse me, if you drop out of the college, then you don't get the equipment. They get it back. But if you do stay in college, you get the equipment, and then they will help you find a job in the future if you want, which I will probably be taking advantage of that because my major will be interesting to find a job in as a blind person. So this is this case right here. I'm gonna put my camera down for a second. So this case is like I'm not really sure what this material is, but basically you have a little Velcro front pocket, and that's where I put all my SD cards and flash drives. And then I've got my laptop here, as you can see. So it's talking. That is because I use JAWS, which is a screen reader. So it's like one of the best ones that I know of. At least I've tried several. And it's really close to Window Eyes, for any of you that know what Window Eyes is. But it's owned by Freedom Scientific. And Freedom Scientific also makes braille displays, magnifiers, all that stuff. But the big thing for them is JAWS. So basically, what this does, it'll read what I type. So if I start typing a letter, it'll read it, which it won't do it now because I'm on the login screen. I'm not going to show you guys my password. And then it'll read what I type. So like each time I type a letter, and it will also, with the arrow keys, it will read my documents to me, online stuff, but it all depends on the accessibility of the website. So I'm going to close this. This is an HP, no, I'm sorry, this is a Dell. I got this new laptop like 3 weeks ago, so I'm not really sure how it all works yet, but I'm getting there. So this over here is a Braille Note Apex, BT Apex, I'm sorry. So this is also made by Humanware, and this is actually my personal Braille Note. So this is similar to the Braille Note Touch. I don't know if you can see it. It's smaller, so it's thinner, and it's a lot lighter compared to that one. So basically it's the same idea. You still type and things come out on the Braille Note or Braille display. The difference is that the documents won't be saved in DOCX. They can be saved in all kinds of Braille files like KWB, BRF, sometimes RTF, TXT, DOC, WordPerfect, which I don't know what WordPerfect is. I think it's like a word processing kind of thing. And those are basically, you can connect that to your computer by flash drive. And basically I just did doc because it won't let me do DOCX. And you can do it that way with emailing and stuff. I email my attachments, like my assignments to my teachers through attachments. So that's this one. Over here, I apologize, I have a lot of crap over here. Oh, by the way, this is Fred. He's my roommate here. He's my skeleton. For those of you who are blind, he's a little plastic skeleton, and he's kind of creepy. He's just on a little stand. He has his arms hanging out. So Fred says hi. He's waving at you, except he can't move his hand the right way. It's anatomically correct. I apologize again for all this clutter here. For those of you that are visually impaired, the clutter might make it difficult. So, but now that I have this in my hand, I'll show you. So, this right here is a drawing board. So basically, it's just a big piece of wood with kind of like grooves in it. So basically what you would do is you put a piece of paper in it, and you would draw with just a regular pen, and it makes it raised. Although I have noticed that it makes it raised backwards better, so if you can draw in reverse, that's great, and if not, it still works, but the back side is better. So this is, I got this from the Braille Superstore, their website where you can purchase different blindness technologies, but not the Braille and stuff like that. It's just low-tech technologies. You can also get them at the Independence Market from NFB, National Federation of the Blind, or MaxiAids, LSNS, independent living aids, all those blindness stores that you can, they're online. I haven't really seen one where you can purchase stuff that's in like a regular store, like a mall. That'd be so awesome, a blind mall. It's like, you can go to it and just, that'd be so cool. Okay, so, sorry, got a little distracted. So this right here is a Perkins Brailler. So you may think this is like just a typewriter, which it kind of is, but so you have like your thing where you load the paper in, and a carriage return. Yeah, okay, that's jammed. That's not good. So okay, so you have that, and then you have your keys, your 6 keys for the Braille, because Braille only has 6 dots. Spacebar in the middle. Then you have your backspace and your new line key, and it's basically like a typewriter. Whatever you type comes out on paper, obviously, and it's Braille. That's the only difference between this and like a regular typewriter. Well, that and there's only 6 keys and not like however many there are on the typewriter. I don't know. I've only used a typewriter like once in my life, and of course typewriters don't have screen readers, so you know, it's just like, okay. I'm just gonna put this on the floor here. So after that, what else could I show you here? So I've got my, I have a talking scientific calculator, which I'm not going to show you that because it's just the basic. It just has speech on it pretty much. You add headphones, and you memorize the buttons just by where they are. So there's no special Braille or whatever. And also I'd like to point out on my laptop, there's no special Braille on the characters. So here, let me show you. A lot of people get confused. They think that just because I have a laptop, it has to be some special thing. And I'm like, no, it just has speech. Like, that's it. So each of these keys are just regular keys on a keyboard. The only difference is that it just has speech, and I had to memorize what I'm typing, which they say touch typing is faster than hunting and pecking, as sighted people call it. Or as I would call it, listening and shooting for the best. So, okay, this part here is a scanner. It's next to my computer, and I'm not sure what type of scanner it is. I know on my computer, oh, I apologize, okay. I know on my computer I have the Kurzweil 1000. It's a it's a scanning process program. So basically it scans what I have in here, so I can put a printed paper in here, and it scans it, and then it reads it out loud to me through the Kurzweil 1000, so go them. They also released something called the KNFB Reader, which is an app on the iPhone. I guess they're making it for Android and Windows too, so I apologize. Okay, so it's for everybody. It's a mobile app, and basically you can take a picture with your camera, and it'll read it to you. Read your printed stuff to you, printed documents like menus, except unless there's pictures, then it's kind of confusing. So then, next to that, I have my lovely alarm clock, which wakes me up in the morning, obviously. It has a temperature thermometer and a time function, so let's see what time it is. I'm going to press this big button in the back.
It's 9:48 a.m. The temperature is 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
See, there you go. Okay, so it tells you what time it is and the temperature. And then there's these buttons on, so the front of it is like, it's like a little screen, kind of. I don't know if it's a visual screen. I've never really looked. I don't know anyone that can see it that have told me that. There's 4 buttons on each row here. There's 4 buttons, 2 rows. It's kind of like a braille cell, kind of. So the screen is to my left and the buttons are to the right. And that's basically how you set the alarm. Again, that's just memorization, and it does talk you through the whole process. So you don't have to worry about hitting the wrong button as a blind person. So I'm going to explain some of the other accommodations I use. So I have a GPS, which is the Victor Trek, which is from Humanware. Let me see if I can find that here. Okay. Sorry, my room is kind of a mess. I normally don't keep it a mess, but you know. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Okay. So this is the Victor Trek, and it's in the case right now. And it's basically, it will guide me. I set it up to where it would record some of my routes for my classes, which I don't need because I know where I'm going, but in the winter time, whenever there's snow everywhere, I might need a little help. So I can also have it guide me when I'm in the car, which it doesn't work with long distances. So I tried to go like an hour away, and it said it wouldn't support it because it was too far away. So I'm going to turn it on. And this has speech, so it will talk to you with all processes of the setup. It'll connect to satellite. And then it'll say GPS ready, it'll tell you where you are, and sometimes it's a little bit confused. But here we go.
Orientation. Searching for satellites.
So it's searching, and it may or may not pick up because we're inside. But sometimes it's a little bit confused. It thinks we're on a street. So I have to go in and like manually set it to where we're not in a street because it freaks out otherwise. So this is this. It has a little belt loop you can connect to your pants or a wrist strap, which I use most of the time on the wrist strap because it's just easier to carry with one hand a cane and the other hand doing who knows what. So I just do that way. And it will guide you, tell you when to turn. It's blind friendly. It's specifically made for blind people, so that'd be sad if it wasn't. If you want to type your address to like have it search an address, you just do the old-fashioned texting. So like A is 2, B is 2 twice, and C is 2 3 times. And so you have to know how to do that. But I mean, you can figure it out if you know what you're doing. It's not too bad to figure out. It only took me about 2 weeks to figure out, and I've never used one of this before. I'm not a technological like guru here. So how I do phone calls, I have my cell phone, which I do not have an iPhone, but I will be getting one of those soon, so yay, Apple. So right now I normally use my iPod, and I do talk to text, or dictation as they call it. I have the, what's it called? Talkatone app, so it's very accessible compared to my other apps I've tried. Text Free and Text Now, and those don't work very well for a blind person just because VoiceOver, they're not accessible with VoiceOver very well, and if they are, they just didn't work for me. I could not figure them out. So the only thing with Talkatone is you have to have either Wi-Fi or a data connection, which I don't have one of those on my iPod, so I just use Wi-Fi. So it works until I'm off campus. So when I'm off campus, I just use my regular cell phone, which is just a track phone with speech. It's an LG something or other, but it's not the most convenient, because it's a track phone, and you have to pay for minutes. But I only use that if I'm on campus and I'm lost, or I need like a reliable connection, because the iPod's more like you can text if you need it. Like, like, hey, let's go hang out or something. And the phone is more like, oh my gosh, I'm lost, like emergency contacts, so like 911, obviously, public safety here on campus, police people like that. So that's what I use the cell phone for. I'm not going to show you that because it's basic, just a regular phone with the keypad, flip phone, the usual older phones. Okay, let me see here. I'm trying to think of other technology I could show you. So basically, some of my accommodations that I use, so for my computer, I do research, and some of the databases, I actually had to meet with the librarian, and she created a whole website just for me of research databases that are accessible. So the main one that I like the most is ProQuest. So for those of you who are doing research, ProQuest is the best. It depends on what you're searching, but it has the majority of what you're looking for. So most of the time, those articles are accessible because they're in HTML, or you can email them to yourself, or you can download them as docx files. But sometimes they are not. They can be in PDF, and that's just because ProQuest uses like 30 databases. So if they're in PDF, sometimes JAWS does not read them, just because sometimes people will take a picture of a document and scan it in and say, okay, there it is. And it's like, that's great for sighted people that can actually see the picture. But for those of us who cannot, don't do that. So what I have to do, if it's in a PDF, I have to send it to the Disability Resource Office here on campus, and then they turn it into a docx file for me. They scan it in, or they'll type it in depending on the quality of the image. and then they'll just email it back to me and say, here you go. So it's really nice they do that for me. They will also do that for other classes that I can't get access to. So I have some online classes that I can't get access to due to screen reader problems. It's not JAWS, it's just the creator of the website didn't make it accessible. So I go to the publishers and the website people and I complain at them, and then I go to campus because we still need accessibility for this class. We can't just wait 10 years for someone to do it. So they make it accessible for me, whether that's printing them out and typing them all out for me, or just having someone sit down beside me and read it to me, or using an alternative format for the text. So one of my books was inaccessible, so they went through and typed the entire book for my anatomy, which was so awesome. Go them. I'm sure that took a long time, and I really appreciate it, because I did not have all that in high school. I did have my books in Braille in high school, but they would come late or sometimes not at all. So I really appreciate the college and the disability office and how they're willing to type my stuff for me, because they understand that how are you going to succeed if you can't even get access to your book? And that's the thing about college, is they're more about accessibility and not just succeeding. They don't just push you through, they want you to succeed, but it's up to you. I mean, they'll give you the access, they'll give you all the stuff that you need to do, but it's up to you if you want to succeed. You can have all the materials you want, just not do anything, and you'll still fail, but you can't say that you didn't have the materials and that's why you failed. So basically that's what the disability office does for me academically. They will go to certain events with me, like crowded events such as fairs, like volunteer fairs, exhibit halls, things like that on campus, just because it's crowded and they know that I don't like crowds. And all I have to do is ask. Like, I'm very comfortable with those people in there. I'm just like, hey guys, there's an event that I want to go to. Anybody want to come with me? Because I'm kind of worried about the crowds. And so they come with me. And basically the only reason why I do that is because I don't always have a guide at the event who could help me, or someone who would be willing to. And there's all this printed material that they hand out, so they help me get the printed material and then turn it into an accessible format, which I have been using a lot of email/online stuff just because it's easier for them to turn it into print, Braille, whatever, or just because I can access it without their help through my screen reader. So go JAWS. So another thing that I use is the first couple weeks, whenever I would get a new class, they would walk with me to my classes. And that was just because I didn't know where I was going, and they don't do that all the time now, because I've got it. I'm good. So people think, oh, you have a guide because they're walking with you to class. And I'm like, well, the first couple weeks I did, but now if we're talking and somehow some random sighted person decides to join me when I'm walking to class, it's not because they're guiding me, it's just because we're walking. Like, people always assume that whenever there's a sighted person around, they're going to help you, or they're your companion/guide constantly. And I'm like, no, this is just, the majority of the world is sighted, and we just hang out, you know? So that's one of the big things about sighted people. They just assume that if you're with a non-disabled person, they're the person that's going to be you, pretty much. Like, if you have an interpreter and you're deaf, you use sign language, they talk to the interpreter more than you, and I'm like, hello, person, like, talk to the person, they're right there. Sorry, I'm ranting again. So yeah, so then if I'm going to different restaurants on campus, which we don't have that many, we have Chick-fil-A, Steak and Shake, Sub Connection, which is like a sub sandwich Subway kind of place, Fiesta Fuego, which is like a burrito taco kind of place, and what else? I'm forgetting something. Oh, Simply to Go is like a little convenience store kind of place, and then we have Cyclone Salad, which is just a salad bar, but a huge salad bar. Then we have The Loft, which is crazy, but I'll get to that in a minute. So if I'm going to a restaurant on campus, they're all located in a central area, just inside a building, and you just sort of go and then turn at certain times. So what I do is I walk in the building, and there's all these tables that are right there by the door. So luckily, if I go early enough, I can find a sighted person, and I'm like, hey, can you tell me how to get to Chick-fil-A? And they'll say, okay, and so a lot of times they will guide me there because it's just really crowded in that area. But if they don't, I mean, I can handle it. If I end up getting lost, I ask another sighted person. I'm like, hey, is this Chick-fil-A? And they'll say, no, this is Steak and Shake. So then I turn around and ask the person at Steak and Shake. I'm like, okay, where's Chick-fil-A? How do I get there? So basically all you have to do is ask. The restaurant volunteers are awesome. The workers, I'm sorry, not volunteers. They get paid. So they actually will help you find a table if you want. You just have to ask. They will bring your food to you, which is really nice because they know that getting to the counter is interesting with being blind and not knowing where the counter is and having people all around you. They are, excuse me, they're very chill with blindness. They don't freak out as much. I'm not sure about all colleges because it just kind of depends on the college and their experience with blind people. So if I go upstairs to the loft, which is kind of like the school cafeteria, there's 3 flights of stairs, which people freak out because they're like, oh no, a blind person is taking the stairs. And I'm like, guys, I can take the stairs. I don't have any mobility problem with my feet. Like, I can climb stairs. I'm good, you know. And I guess it's that fear that I can't see the stairs. So they're afraid that I'm going to fall. And I'm like, guys, okay, I take that back. I have fallen up the stairs, but that's because I was being stupid. I was just running and I wasn't paying attention and I tripped up the stairs. But, I mean, you can also fall down the stairs, obviously. That's only happened a couple times because I wasn't paying attention with my cane. I was just chilling, walking, talking to people. And that's my fault. It's not blindness. It's just me, personally. So, don't blame everything on blindness just because, or your disability, just because it might not be disability. It could just be you. So, I go upstairs and there's a,
One face, 0 faces.
oh, I'm sorry. The camera. Voiceover's going nuts. So, you go upstairs and there's like a giant hallway kind of thing. It goes all the way around and I could follow that except there's no walls. It's just like a giant open space. The walls are actually around it, so I have to go inside the open space. So what I do is I go to one of the counters and there's one actually right at the top of the stairs. So I go up the stairs, turn to the right, and there's a counter, which I will show you that in another video. And I ask for assistance, and they know me now because I've been there for, 6 weeks now? Or 7? I don't know. A little bit. Like 3 months almost. So they're very helpful. They will go get someone from the loft that works there, and they'll say, hey, this blind person needs assistance. So they will come, and I will take their elbow, and they'll guide me, and they'll start naming all the food that's around, because sometimes it changes. Most of the time it doesn't, but sometimes it does. They'll name all the different food options as we're walking, and while we're walking, if something sounds good, I'll say, hey, let's stop here. So what they'll do is they'll either get a tray for me or a to-go container, depending on what I want to do that day. And they will carry the tray while we're getting the food, just because those plates that they use are super heavy. I tried to carry it one time and I almost fell because I had my cane, and trying to carry a tray with one hand is interesting. So go people that do that all the time as a blind person, because that must be really hard. So, and I wouldn't mind not using my cane, but I can't trust the sighted guides that have guided me with my tray in my hands, just because there's so many little things that they miss. Like, there's barriers, and they have these little, there's like rope barriers, and they have these little post things on the bottom that kind of stick out, and people always miss those, and I trip on those, and then my tray goes flying, and I haven't had that happen yet here, but I have had it happen in the past. It's very embarrassing. So basically, yeah, they'll just guide me, and the person at the counter for the different foods will say, hey, what can I get you in this? And they'll tell me the options. Some of them will actually come out behind the counter and put their hand on my shoulder to let me know they're talking to me, because it is really crowded. And sometimes I will have my guide speak for me, which I don't normally do that, just because I like to be independent. But sometimes I can't hear the person and they can't hear me. And then I don't know if they're talking to me, so it's awkward if I'm just speaking and no one's listening. So my guide will speak for me, but I'll explain what I want to them, and then they'll just tell the person that's actually working there, like behind the counter. They'll say, hey, she wants a sandwich with turkey and ham and pepper jack cheese, mayonnaise, all that. So they'll do it for me. So then I get my tray. They walk with me to the cash register, and there's these little things we have to swipe our our food cards, which double as our key cards most of the time. So if you're on the meal plan, basically you have a little card thing, and that's how you pay for your food. So they show me where the little swipe thing is by tapping it or putting my hand on it. I put my card on there, it goes, we're good. the cashier says, hey, you have this much in your account. Do you want your receipt? And I'm like, no, because I can't read it, but thank you anyway. Then the person will either help me find a table, or if I'm meeting friends, they will stand by the cash register and then they will help me carry my tray to our table. It just kind of depends. But I have told people here on campus that if they want to speak to me, I don't know their voice, please tell me who they are, and don't get offended because I don't know your name, or I don't recognize your voice, because they assume that blind people will have automatic voice recognition technology in their heads, and that's not the case. So, for those of you who assume that blind people know who you are, and if you're offended because we don't, I apologize. That's just the way it is as a blind person. You don't always know who's talking to you, and don't feel ashamed to ask either. I mean, I know people will give you crap for it most of the time, especially if they don't understand. They're like, well, I just talked to you for 3 hours yesterday. Why don't you remember me? And you're like, well, because I don't know your name. I talked to like 6 different people yesterday. What do you expect, you know? So feel free to ask who they are, and if they say their name but you still don't know, say, where did I meet you from? Or, I know I met you before, but I don't know where. Things like that. I mean, they shouldn't get offended, but if they do, then don't feel ashamed for asking. Don't feel stupid, because you have to do that as a blind person. And I apologize, my voice sounds crappy today. I've got a cold going on, I think. Allergies. So I apologize. But allergies are fun. So another thing that I use on a daily basis, so I have a backpack. It's not sure what, I think it's an Under Armour backpack, but it's really huge, and I carry that everywhere. Literally, I carry it to church, only because I carry my braille note, and it's really heavy. I take it to any kind of car trip I'm going on. That's like my thing. I carry my braille note in there. If I'm going on a hike, I always carry that because I have everything that I need. I can just shove it in there, and it's hands-free, which is totally awesome. So another thing that I use, obviously my cane, obviously I have 3 or 4 canes because you never know when one's going to snap. I use a folding graphite cane. I just got that about 4 months ago when I went to Leader Dogs for the Blind. They gave me a free cane, so go Leader Dogs. And I have it's a folding 5-section graphite cane. It's really light. I like it better than the aluminum. I've always had aluminum until like 5 months ago, and I just love it so much. It's my favorite cane in the whole world. And if it falls down a grate, I'm gonna cry. When it breaks, I'm probably gonna cry because I love that cane so much. It's like my favorite cane in the whole world. It's just very light, very easy to use. I'm not saying the other ones are hard to use. It's just my hand feels so like, I don't know, whenever I first used it, I was like, oh my gosh, this cane is awesome. And I can't describe that feeling to a sighted person because it's one of those things that you have to experience as a blind person using different canes. And it's kind of like that freedom that you get whenever you're walking with a guide dog and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Or you're like, oh crap, this sucks. But if it's awesome, then you're like, I don't want to go back to a cane. But if you do want to go back to a cane, that's cool too. Nothing wrong with a cane. It's just you and you have a feeling and you're like, I love this, So that's my cane. I have a timepiece on there. I have a keychain because I used to have the talking watches, but the talking watches always broke, so I got a talking keychain clock. And so that basically, you just press a big button, it tells you what time it is. So I use that when I'm running to class because I always time my walks to see how long it takes me. How long it takes me to get to class. So I'll do that. And what else do I use? Let's see. Okay, so the washers. Let me explain the washers. I might do another video on this, but basically, put my coins in. I have to use coins because I can't use the card swipe because that's inaccessible for me. So they changed it to all the coins, so you can do coins or cards. Everyone loves that, except I had to go find change. So you put the coins in there, and I went ahead and labeled the buttons. I used clear plastic labels with my Perkins Brailler, and I cut them out. And so basically it's just a letter with Braille. One of them says warm. It just has W, start, which is ST symbol, ST contraction. Buttons that just have one label, and they're clear so people can see through them. so sighted people won't be complaining and they won't pick them off. And I only did one of those washers and one of those dryers. So it kind of stinks whenever someone is using them, but normally when that happens, I can go close to one and just use the same one, and just because the buttons are all the same layout, so it's not too hard. And then as far as cleaning wise, so I just use the regular stuff. I'm doing a little bit different. I have to go over everything 3 times in a pattern. So for vacuuming, you just go forward and back, and you step to the side each time you do it, a little bit, and then you go crossways, and you just do. You can develop your own pattern, but that's how I do it. So eventually, you cover the whole room at least twice. Then if you're mopping, which there's no carpet, there's carpet in this room, but then the bathroom and the little area by the sink that has. Whoa, that went fast. That has let me close this. I'm sorry.
Close. Button. 35 minutes, 51 seconds.
Whoa, that's a long video. Okay, so you have the mops, and they basically it's a Swiffer. I think it's a Swiffer mop. It's just a regular mop, and I have it to where it'll be low to the ground, and then I can control it better with like that whenever it's lower, and I just sweep regularly like I do with that sweeper, just in that pattern. And then if I'm using the broom, I just once again sweep in a pile, or try to. My version of pile is probably not the same as yours as a blind person, but that's basically all I do. And then the other stuff I can just feel, like if I'm wiping stuff down. Spraying stuff is pretty simple. You just turn the nozzle away and put it about a hand length away from whatever you're spraying, and then just pour it on for like 2 seconds. Let me see here. I'm trying to think of other things that I would have to clean or do that I have to explain. Okay, so my clothes. So there are these little metal tags. They're called clothing tags, obviously. They're about the size of a small SD card, about half of that size. And they're metal, and they have little holes in them for clothespins, and they have little braille labels on them. So you can either do numbers or colors, but I did numbers, just because that's easier. And you can buy these also at NFB, Independent Market, or Maxi Age, LS&S, all those places that I mentioned earlier. And you can also buy them on Amazon too, but Amazon is expensive. Go to the blindness websites. The Braille bookstore has one that has some of the cheapest prices available currently. At least it did yesterday. So basically, you can get a set of 25, or you can get 2 sets of 25, and they'll all have the same numbers, so 1 through 25. And if you did 2 sets, you could match your outfits by going, okay, so my pants is 1, shirt's 1, whatever's 2, this outfit's 2. So what I do is I got 1 set of 25, and I don't label all my clothes because most of them I can tell, like my t-shirts all hang up separately. That means that all goes with anything, any kind of pants. So my jeans will go separate. If there's a specific outfit that has to match, I'll have a sighted person come over, and like if I get clothes for Christmas, for example, I'll have a sighted person come over and I'll say, hey, what's this go with? And they'll pick something. And because I can't see colors, never been able to, and a lot of people can, or they have been able to see colors before, so they like to match their colors. I don't care about that. It's not because I'm blind. It's just me personally. I don't care about colors. I don't really care about fashion. It's not really my thing. I'm more of a wear sweatpants and a sweatshirt. That's fine with me, or jeans and boots. Like I'm cool with whatever. It doesn't really matter. I don't approve of the whole wear a short skirt, wear whatever you want. But I mean, I can't see it, so you do whatever. You be you. So anyway, sorry about that. So basically, I label the outfits that have to match. And so whenever I put them in the washer, they don't come off because there's safety pins on there. There's 2 holes in each number, so you put 2 safety pins on there. And then you do that, you take them out, they're matched, kind of. Well, I mean, they have numbers on them, so you match them again whenever you fold them. Or hang them up, whatever you prefer. Hang them up together, that's what I do. Or hang them side by side. Which you can do that if you get one of those closet organizers. Those are pretty nice. You can do that. But what I do is I just hang the outfits that match together. I hang them up together. And if they don't, I hang them up separate. And I put the pants in one section, shirts in another, t-shirts, sweatshirts, dress clothes, And for my dress clothes, what I'll do, so if I have 2 pairs of shoes and one of them goes better with a certain outfit, let's say I have 2 outfits, which is not the case, but if I did. So I would put the shoes in a little bag, like a Walmart bag probably, hang them on the hanger. If I had a t-shirt and a necklace.
Unknown contact. Maybe on our way we did not want to get up. Did your roommates come back or did they go home?
Sorry, that was my sister contacting me. So if I have a, oh, sorry, what's the word here? I'm sorry, I got distracted from that text. Yeah, okay, so if I have a dress outfit and it has a necklace and a bracelet and all these accessories on it, I hang them together on one hanger. And if I'm going to an event where I have to have one outfit, I normally call a sighted person. I'm like, hey, come over here. Or I can do some of the apps on my iPod, and it will, they'll say, okay, well, wear this, and then wear that necklace, wear those earrings. So I hang them all together. With the earrings, I would put them in like a little, like a, well, I guess all the jewelry. I would put them in like a sandwich bag, and I'd put them on a hanger with a Walmart sack. And that's how I would do that. So then for my socks, I safety pin those together because you never want to wear a green sock and a purple one. I don't think that goes together. I mean, it might. I don't know, I'm blind, so, but it probably doesn't. That's my guess. So if you have a purple and green sock, it's okay, because sighted people are not going to say anything because they don't want to be rude to you. But, I mean, if you're cool with it, encourage them to say something like, hey, just discreetly. Don't do it in the middle of, like, a crowd. Just don't be like, hey, your sock doesn't match. Go up to them as a sighted person, pull them to the side and say, hey, I just want to let you know you have a green sock and a purple sock on, and so just for the future, you know, probably don't do that because it doesn't look appropriate, doesn't look good. Definitely, if you're in the business world or a professional setting, definitely say something. Do it discreetly. Don't embarrass them, but let us know, because we hate the fact that sighted people don't always want to say something because they're afraid of offending us. I mean, 95% of us have been blind quite a while now. We're cool with it. I mean, I'm cool with it. I don't know about other people. But I'm just like, yeah, you say whatever. I mean, don't offend me. But the only thing that really offends me is if you think that I can't do something, or you think that you know better than I do about blindness, and you're like, hey, you shouldn't do that because you're blind, or how are you going to do that because you're blind? It's like, I don't know all the answers, but I'm going to have time to figure them out, and you have to give me that time. It's going to take me probably twice as long or 3 times as long the first time to do something than it will you, but don't judge me because I'm blind, because it's not blindness, it's just I don't know what I'm doing to figure it out. So, like, for example, the first time I poured coffee, it took me 20 minutes. And that was just because I'd never done it before. And I didn't know the blindness techniques because I didn't have the whole blindness rehabilitation thing. I just sort of went with it most of the time. So it took me 20 minutes because I was scared to pour the coffee in the cup because I didn't know how hot it was going to be. So I had oven mitts, and I had the cup up against the sink, and the coffee pot was just in my hand, and I was like, crap, am I going to pour this? And so it took me 20 minutes because I didn't know what to do, and I finally figured it out, and I poured it, and my family was like, we could have done that faster, and I'm like, yes, you could have, but as a blind person, I have to learn how to do this on my own. And so I encourage all of you family members of a person with a disability, yes, it may take us longer to figure out how to do stuff, but don't give up on us.
0 Talk tone. 3 minutes ago. Unknown contact. Maybe on our way we did not want to get up. Notification. Talk tone. 3 minutes ago. Unknown contact. Clear.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was saying shush to the iPod. So, yeah, so I encourage all you family members of a person with a disability, just give us time, because it may take us longer to do something, but in the long run, we will have to be independent. We will have to do this.
Talk tone. 4 minutes ago.
Oh,
Unknown contact.
shush.
Talk tone. 4 minutes more.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we will have to do this on our own, so don't just try to be patient with us. I know it's hard, okay? I know it's really hard because you want to do stuff for us. You want us to succeed, but you also don't want us to spend 20 minutes pouring coffee because, you know, your coffee's cold. You want coffee, which I understand that. So I'd recommend if you want to help us, show us how to do it at a time when there's not a rush. So if you want to make coffee and you're not too worried about it getting cold by the time it's poured, and you want us to learn how to do it, then explain to us how to do it, but don't force us to do it the way that you do it. So we may have a different way of doing it. Like for me, for example, I have to find the cup, I have to find the spout of the coffee pot, and I have to hold the coffee pot at a certain angle and make sure my hand doesn't get burnt. So it takes me a little bit longer to find it and to do it, but I will be able to do it as fast as a sighted person eventually. It just may take me longer to get there. And it may be different. So I encourage all of you family members too to not force us to do it your way. And don't get mad if we don't do it your way, because we have to figure out our own way, because we're going to be the ones doing it, not you. We're going to be the ones doing it in our own lives, and if we turn like 40, we're not going to be like, hey, can you show me how to pour this coffee for my kids, because I don't know how to do it. It's more like, hey, I can't do this coffee because I never learned. So I encourage you to teach us and to show us, not force us, and be patient. And if you can't be patient with us, then probably don't teach us, because that'll just make us frustrated. It honestly makes us feel like we can't accomplish things. We can't be part of the non-disabled world if we can't catch up. And so if you can't be patient with us, then don't just abandon us like we can't learn, but don't teach us, because it makes you frustrated, it makes us frustrated, it just adds more stress. So if you can't teach us, find someone that can, and if you don't know of anyone, then give us the space to work it out on our own. Like maybe explain how you do it, but don't do it with us. Just like sit us down, explain to us how you do it, or how it's supposed to be done, what you're supposed to accomplish, and then say, okay, I'm gonna leave you here for like 20 minutes. I'm gonna be standing over here. If you need me, yell. If not, I'll leave you alone. I want you to figure this out. And if you get frustrated, it's okay. I would recommend watching YouTube, because seriously, YouTube, like, blind people have posted a lot of videos about how they do stuff. One of my favorites is Joy Ross. There's also Molly Burke. She's totally awesome. Go her. She's all into fashion. So if you want to see how a blind person does fashion, like, go with her. She's cool. Joy Ross is a mom. She has 2 kids, Georgiana and Isabella, and 2 guide dogs. She has Antonia, which is her retired guide dog, and Arabella, which is her new guide dog. They're so cute. They're so fluffy. I think. I don't know. I never pet them, but they sound really cute. She does a lot of videos on, parenting and going to the store. She did one last night about going to Target with a white cane and just getting lost, and how fun it was, but also scary, because she couldn't figure out how to get out of this one aisle, and there was these people, and they just didn't help her, and it was I was kind of laughing, because, and not because I was laughing at her, because I understand. I was laughing because that could be me. Like, she's totally me at some points. I'm like, yes, I could see myself doing that. I could see myself getting lost in an aisle for 20 minutes because I don't know what I'm doing, And so, that's another thing too. With a disability, you have to laugh. I mean, if you want to cry for a couple days once you first get diagnosed or whatever, that's cool. But you have to get to that point where you have to go with it, Because, if you spend all your time crying, you're just going to be really depressed. So you have to laugh. You have to have joy in it, because if you don't, then you'll never be happy, You have to be that person. You have to be like, okay, so that was scary, but now I can laugh, because how stupid was that happened, and that I did this. You can just, it's funny, Like, trying to think of something. It's just like I laugh at people's reactions, because, like, I'm one of the people, I'm cool with my blindness. So, like, if they say something they think's gonna offend me, I start cracking up, and they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, okay, so you just said this, and you're worried that it's gonna offend me, but it's not. And so it's funny, because you're freaking out over here, and I'm like, I'm cool with it, and you're freaking out about my blindness, and I should be the one freaking out, So you have to laugh, you have to relax. Because if you're always tense, that's gonna kill you. Like, it's gonna cause all this stress to build up in your muscles. You're gonna have to go to a chiropractor, all this stuff. So I encourage you to relax, to chill. You will figure it out. I know it's hard to figure out all the blindness and other other parts of being disabled. It is hard, and sometimes it really sucks on some days, because you're like, I hate how everyone else can do stuff faster, how they can get the stuff done. how it seems better, like all their stuff that they get to do, they can do without having to plan, without having to do all the stuff that we have to do. But I mean, you can't let that stop you from doing what you want to do. I mean, yes, it sucks some days, but most of the time it's pretty cool, you know. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm making this video right here, because I honestly don't know if I'll even post this. It's just sort of me talking. I'm sorry, the camera's sort of crooked again. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to post this or not, but if I do, I just want to encourage you all that having a disability, yes, it sucks, but for the majority of the part, it's cool. I mean, you can live with it, and don't let that initial fear of not knowing how to do something, or people thinking that you're stupid or just an idiot, don't let that stop you, because those people don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They are the ones that are going to fail, because, you know, how is a person going to succeed in life if they think to themselves that everyone with a disability is stupid? You know, because what if they have, like, a disability themselves one day, or if someone else that they know has a disability, and they're going to say, okay, so am I stupid now because I have a disability? And it's like, no, you're not, because you still have all that intelligence, you still have all the stuff that you can still do. It just may take you a little bit longer to figure out how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, but you can figure it out. And so if there's no one else in your field that has this disability, if you're like in a career that you know it's probably impossible to do, or you've always been told it's impossible. So like, for example, piloting a plane as a blind person, you know, we'd always think that's impossible because, well, duh, they're blind, so how are they going to fly a plane? And when their passengers freak out, and you can't let all these questions, all these fears stop you, because if you do, you're never going to succeed in anything. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, yes, I'm blind, but look at all this technology, you know, like they have all these self-driving cars that are going to be out, all this computer stuff. So there's this one guy, I forget his name, but guess what he did? He piloted a plane. He's totally blind. He has a plane, and he's the pilot, and his passengers don't even know him most of the time. And if they do, I mean, either they trust them or they don't. And that's the thing, too. Some people just don't really care. They're like, oh, you have a disability, so forget you. You know, they don't see you as a person. So what you have to do with that is you have to say, okay, well, forget you too then. So you can't let that stop you. You can't let that freak you out, because those people, you just have to ignore them. And I know it sucks, because sometimes they're just really rude to you, and they bully you. If you're a student, they will bully you. They will make fun of you. They will not invite you to parties. They'll do all this stuff that you want to do in your life, but you can't do it at that moment. And I just want to encourage you that, yes, it sucks right now, but it does get better. You will succeed. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a YouTuber currently. I guess I am now. I'm saying it because I've personally been through a lot of crap with school, and so coming to college has been really great because people actually care. They're actually inviting me to stuff. They actually see me as a person instead of just a disability. And so eventually we'll get to that point. I don't know when. I don't know how long it will take you, how much crap you have to go through. But it will get better, and you'll look back on that time and you'll say, wow, you know, I survived that, you know, and you'll think how strong you are just from surviving all that, you know. So I want to encourage you all that if it sucks right now with your disability, and if you're a college student and you're struggling, reach out to people. I know it's hard to find them. It may not be easy because you might be the only disabled person on your campus or in your town or wherever you're from. And you might have to deal with a lot of crap. But it will get better. And I mean, you're really strong. Like, you don't realize. And I'm not just saying that because, oh, disabled people have courage and everyone admires them. It's not that. It's, you have to deal with so much crap in your life that whenever you get older and you look back on it, you're going to say, wow, you know, like those people that told me I was strong, they weren't kidding. Like, I mean, you have to put up with so much crap in your life at the moment that when you get out of it, you're just like, wow, I survived that, you know, that's cool. And I mean, me personally, this is a long video, I apologize, but this is just stuff I have to get out. So me personally, my high school years were not great. I actually had teachers that didn't want me in the class. They actually specified, they said, hey, I don't want you in my class, you know, and I was like, well, too bad for you, I'm staying in here, And that year was horrible. That was one of the worst years of my high school years. But just not because of that, there was other things too that all just added up, and I cried a lot that year, and I don't cry a lot, but there was a lot of emotions that year. So, me being me, I said, you know what? No, I'm staying in this class. You can't tell me what to do because, yes, you're a teacher, but I'm staying in this class and pretty much get over it. I didn't say that to her. I didn't say that to their face, but, I was thinking, I was like, no, you're not making me drop this class just because you don't want me in your class. Like, I'm staying. Yes, it sucks for you, and it probably sucked for me because I'll struggle in this class, and you're not gonna make it easy on me. But I'm gonna try because I'm not giving you the satisfaction of quitting. So you can't give those people the satisfaction of you stopping to do something, because if you want to do it, you're gonna do it. And me personally, with all the crap that went on that year, once I made it through, I was like, I didn't know what to do, because I was like, I made it. Like, I should be so happy, Like graduating high school, coming to college, I was like, I finally made it. I didn't know what to do. I cried actually for like 2 hours straight because I was just so relieved that I actually made it. And at times I didn't think I would. I wanted to quit school. I had a lot of things going on, and getting through that was hard. And my rock was my faith. I'm a Christian, and God and I became really tight. And so if you're not a Christian, I don't fall into the assumption that God is for the disabled, God's for the weak, because He's for everyone. He's for the weak too. He's for the ones that think they're strong, because if you think you're strong, you're eventually going to fall. If you think you're proud, you're eventually going to fall. So when you fall, what are you going to do? Because you don't have yourself to cling on. You don't have anyone. Because whenever you fall, like, no one's going to be there for you. All these people that you think you have, all these walls that you built around you, it's going to protect you. They're going to fall, and you're going to be exposed, and you're not going to know what to do. So during those horrible times, I encourage you to cling on to God, because He's not going to be there going, you suck, Yes, He's gonna be like, well, you shouldn't have done that, but he's gonna judge you, but He's gonna forgive you. So He's gonna be like, he's gonna point out your flaws, like your mistakes, whatever you did wrong, but He's there to forgive you too. So He's gonna forget all those. He's gonna say, okay, well, I see what you did, and it's okay. I'm God. I'm gonna forgive you. That doesn't give you the ability to go do whatever you want to, because yes, God's gonna forgive you regardless. But it's more of a faith-based thing. You have to have that trust that God's gonna forgive you, but you still have to do what's right. You can't just go around doing all these horrible things and say, no, well, God's gonna forgive me anyway, because it doesn't always work that way. You have to be repentant. You have to know what you did. You have to confess to it. So my faith is God. I'm a Christian, and I thank God because I actually made it through high school, and I made it here, and I'm actually doing okay. And so I encourage you, if you're in that pit of depression, and you have all these things going on, it's okay, because you will make it through. And I know you hear this all the time, but it's coming from a person who's been there for years, actually. Like sometimes if I'm not paying attention, if I'm having a really rough day, it's easy to fall back into that. And so you really have to try to avoid it as much as possible, and that's really hard. But cling on to God. He will help you. And I'm not just saying that just because I've been there. I know what it's like. And so I encourage you all with a disability, or if you don't have a disability, to just hope and have that faith that things will get better and that you'll actually survive it, because sometimes you don't think you will, and sometimes you become really close to not surviving it, not making it through, but eventually you will. And I want to reach out to all of you guys who are struggling with this, because that's sort of a really big thing for me to, I've been through it, and I want to reach out to all of you who are struggling with this, and just cling on to God. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now. I'm sorry. I I have a cold today, so my voice sounds like crap, and my eyes are starting to hurt from the lights because I have the lights on, so you guys can see. I don't know how much you can see because I've got the camera turned away from me. But, yeah, so I'm gonna stop recording now, but thank you all for watching, and I really hope this video encourages you, and hopefully things are okay with you. And if they're not, feel free to comment on my videos explaining your problem. I think you can private comment. I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, then cool. If not, then you don't have to specify what's going on in your life. You can even say a friend has this going on. I wouldn't know. I don't know you guys. I don't know my YouTube video viewers. So you could come up with a fake name. You could say, hey, my name is Jasmine Hinkle. I don't know. Or Winkler or whatever. I wouldn't know you. I don't know you. So feel free to comment whatever you want. And if you don't feel comfortable commenting on yourself, then say hypothetically, or say, you know, I've got so-and-so, or I have a pen pal in, like, Guatemala, and they said this. You know, say whatever, because like I said, I'm not going to know you. No one else will probably know who you are. So feel free to comment whatever you want, because I'm going to listen. I'm probably going to respond once I figure out how to do that. And feel free to say whatever you want, and know that it will be okay in the future. Thank you.